Ice, ice, shamey. Ice, ice, shamey. Oh, hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Nate the Effing Great, and welcome to the Game Changer. And it's time for another week of wrestling episode. And it's actually been quite an interesting week, to say the least. First off, I wanted to start off by talking about, oh man, what a crazy week it's been this week. Had the prediction deal with Dusty Dave from Kings of the Ring podcast. Definitely go follow them. If you're listening to this via Twitter, I will put the handle of his as well as his co-host in the comments section. Be sure to give them a follow. Be sure to give them a like. Help them reach 2,000 by the time 2019 is starting. I almost said before it ends. I'm realizing right now that, oh my god, it's literally just a few short weeks away from 2019. My god, it's been quite an interesting year, to say the least. There's still going to be so much more that's going to be happening. And January is always the best way to start professional wrestling. And honestly, you look at Wrestle Kingdom, Royal Rumble, so many great things are going to be happening. They got the first ever WWE NXT UK takeover happening in January. It's going to be absolutely crazy. So, man, and even next week, there's still going to be a lot of crazy stuff going on because, actually even tomorrow, I got an interview with about, I want to say 3-4 women all at the same time. They're all cosplayers, they're all models. Definitely tune into that, you guys. There's going to be just a lot of things going on, and with the holiday season, it's just crazy. But I thought I would take a little bit of time away from the holiday craziness, the madness, everything like that, and just talk about wrestling throughout this week. And one thing that actually stood out this week regards a former WWE star, Big Cass. Big Cass suffered a seizure at a House of Hardcore show. I believe what went down was that he was, basically what he was doing was he was, interacting with fans, and then next thing you know, he just fell down and he started having seizures. And a lot of the wrestlers, they were there to, ensure that he was okay. He is doing very well. He was taken to the hospital for further evaluations, which is totally understandable. Tommy Dreamer definitely was keeping a lot of us updated on what was going on with that. This is just one of those pure examples of how wrestling can be like a family, and wrestling can be just absolutely amazing. They can be a great support group. So for those that are wrestling fans that don't think that, we don't support each other, this is the purest example of wrestling at its finest, and wrestling, wrestlers, fans, everybody like that, just able to support each other. It's just an absolutely crazy thing. But I'm very glad to know that Big Cass is doing well. It was not from drug-related issues. I appreciate the fact that, Tommy Dreamer mentioned that, because there's a lot of people that do often assume that with wrestling, it is because of, drug-related or because of addiction. He's just been going through a lot, and I can totally understand that. This year alone has probably been very stressful for him. He was en route to be at the top of his game. Then he had a bit of bad falling out leaving WWE. He definitely was making it seem like he was a big deal, like he didn't need to do certain things, when he actually did. And yeah, they just could not handle his attitude, so they released him. He made his return to the wrestling scene on a independent show. I remember he actually cut a great promo as Big C. How many people are already thinking of names to think of what, the C stands for? My God. Yeah, he actually cut a really good promo. He basically talked about, working with another company, work there, and he was about ready to, give us the details of why that happened. And then he just turns it into the most heelish way possible. He says, "You don't deserve to know why I got let go. I will tell, why I got let go on my time, not yours." It was a very good heel promo. I will definitely say that. It's just amazing how, a lot can change in the matter of 90 days, I guess it was. So, again, bottom line, Big Cass, hopefully you're doing better right now, and wishing you nothing but the best, man. Definitely do deserve a lot of, success coming your way. Just make sure that you don't let the fame get to you, because I'll tell you this right now. It's not one of those things that's really worth having if you don't have people to share it with. That is the one thing I've learned here at the Game Changer, as well as a lot of other things. All right, let's talk about WWE, shall we? First, kicking it off with Monday Night Raw. Seth Rollins cut a awesome promo on Raw where he talks about how Baron Corbin sucks at his job. He talks about how everything just really sucks. How he's changed the landscape and not in the best way. It was a really good kind of CM Punk-esque promo. I compared it to like the deal between CM Punk and John Laurinaitis. You could compare it maybe to even like Austin and Vince McMahon. It's just one of those things where it was really well done. It definitely summed up a lot of what people were thinking going into so many Raws. And basically he just said, this place sucks. Everything that just sucks here. There's so many people that deserve opportunities. He name-dropped the Revival as one of them about not getting, the right dues that they deserve. And he's not wrong. And even Revival even said, that's Seth Rollins guy. We knew that there was something that we liked about him. They still kept it kind of heelish. I don't know if they said, Tyler Black or they used some other name or something like that. But it's kind of really cool to see that. I would like to see a team up with Seth Rollins or the Revival. That would be absolutely amazing, now that I think about it. But basically this boiled down to Seth Rollins challenging Baron Corbin to a TLC match on Raw. That would be the first time that there was this TLC matchup in about 6, almost 7 years, maybe now. Because the last TLC that happened on Monday Night Raw, I believe was the one between CM Punk and Ryback. It was on that, I think it was a couple Raws before Royal Rumble when the last one happened. But that's what it boiled down to, was Seth Rollins challenged Baron Corbin to a TLC match because of the fact that there were TLC materials all around. I mean, my God, did you see all the tables, ladders, and chairs that they had all around? It just tempted the idea. And Baron Corbin says, all right, fine, but it's going to be for that Intercontinental title. And Seth Rollins just really cut a great promo after that whole entire deal where he basically just said, if I don't defend this title and I don't prove myself as a worthy champion, I don't even deserve to hold this belt. It was such a good promo. Seth Rollins is just on fire. He definitely deserves to face off against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He really does. And honestly, I think he could be my favorite going into Royal Rumble to win the whole thing. We'll have to wait and see as time goes on. We then had a handicap match, which this made very little to no sense. They had Drake Maverick and AOP taking on Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. I guess you could call it the Glorious Alphas for the Raw Tag Team titles. This was a matchup a lot of people definitely did not like. I personally loved the outcome. The match itself was just like, eh. But like I said, the ending was what made it all worth it. And there's a lot of people that can definitely argue about the fact. Okay, so basically what ended up happening is that we got new Raw Tag Team Champions in Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. And how did they win this? By defying the odds, defeating AOP? No. They had Drake Maverick basically sick the AOP on them. They did all the damage, and then Drake Maverick's just like, oh, I got this, tag me in. Boom, tag. Then Drake Maverick does this kind of like cocky pin. He's just like, oh yeah, I'm good. Roode rolls it up into a crucifix pin for the victory. And yeah, Roode and Gable are tag team champions. About time that Bobby Roode and Chad Gable get a title. I'm hoping that they do more with them in the upcoming months. I am hoping that this does build up to a Bobby Roode heel turn, because right now he really needs it. There's so many people that just do not care about Bobby Roode. Willie T, I'm talking about you in particular. It was one of those moves where I'm kind of confused on why they did this, but the way that they went about it, I kind of understand, because you look at it from a business standpoint, you still want to keep AOP very strong, and what's the way to do that? Have Drake Maverick be the one that costs them the tag team titles. So, yeah, it's just one of those things where it is more trying to keep AOP strong and making Drake Maverick look like a bit of a kink in the rope of AOP's line, I guess, if that makes sense. I apologize for the horrible, horrible analogy there, but it's my show, so. We had a segment with Natalya and Ruby Riott. Natalya came out and talked about a lot of things that went down with her family, especially highlighting, the Montreal Screwjob, everything that Bret Hart had to go through, and as well as her father passing away. Then Ruby Riott came out and basically talked about their tables match and really adding insult to injury. She brought out a table that had a print of Jim the Anvil Neidhart on it, and she said that she's going to put Natty through that table. So there are two things that I want to address about this. One, can we please just not give the Harts, so much more crap? They're already going through enough as is. You look at everything that the Hart family is going through, from Bret Hart still having a bit of saltiness at WWE for understandable reasons, not just 1997, but I don't know if you remember a certain show by the name of Payback where they literally did the same thing with Natty and Charlotte Flair, which made absolutely no sense whatsoever. You have everything that's going on with WWE, and I think it's Owen Hart's wife. She's still not forgiven them for what happened. Then you have everything going with Jim the Anvil Neidhart. It's just one of those things where it's so. For me as a fan, I don't like it because I really hate the fact that they do kind of do these things at the expense of other people. But I will say this, that Natty came out in an article talking about the segment, and she says that this is one of those things that it's actually helping her. It's very therapeutic. It's one of those things that's helping her, deal with this, because now she can actually, express her emotions. She can actually feel this as a bit of a, like she said, therapeutic deal. So for her, I'm very happy that it, helps her get through this. For me as a fan, it's just very hard to get by this. And I'm hoping, this is one of those moments where it's like, I really want Natty to win this Sunday, because I feel like it needs to be a storybook ending for that. I really don't want it to be one of those situations like, somebody mentioned this in a tweet. I think it might have been, I'm trying to remember who it was, but they mentioned about how the world is too sensitive, and she brought back the whole deal where Big Boss Man took the Big Show's father's casket and dragged it behind. One of those deals, I don't know, that was just another one where it just seemed like it was out of poor taste. Any time you try to, I don't know if I would say profit off of death, but basically anytime you just really try to work off of that, it just hits a sour note for me. That's just myself. I know there's a lot of other people that say, it's a great way to get, heat, it's a great way to get sympathy, it's a great way to get the people invested in the storyline. Just for me, it just doesn't settle right. It really doesn't. But, like I said, I'm hoping this builds up to a beautiful ending for Natty to be the victor, and she comes out on top. That's the main thing I'm hoping for with this feud. We had Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler fight against each other in a rematch from last week, where Dolph Ziggler defeated Drew McIntyre. This was actually a more physical matchup between the two of them. You definitely could tell that it was dragged out quite a bit. It was very slow paced. It wasn't one of those things where it was like high impact, high action, fast paced. It was very slow. In certain points, you definitely could feel the physicality between the two of them. I remember there was a point where Drew was just yelling at Dolph that, he's not anything to him, and then Dolph just hits a zigzag out of nowhere. It was a great, great moment, to be honest. But in the end, we see Drew McIntyre hit the Claymore for the 3 count, and then assault Dolph Ziggler after the match is over. Drew McIntyre building momentum into his match this Sunday with Finn Balor. It's still going to be a very good match. I'm looking forward to seeing how they play this out. I really do like this change-up again with Dolph Ziggler. I like him as a face. I love him as a heel. He's just one of those guys that can do anything. And again, I said this before and I'll say it again. Dolph Ziggler is a future Hall of Famer. Whether people want to admit it or not, he's done so much for his career. He's done so much for WWE that it would be stupid to have him, it just would be really, really dumb to have him not be in the Hall of Fame. Alright, so we had Bayley defeat Alicia Fox. All this really was just a build-up to the Mixed Match Challenge semifinal showdown for tomorrow, for the following night. Yeah, we're going to move on from that. Lio Rush defeated Elias in what was a very definitely one-sided affair. Heath Slater was the referee during this matchup. Lashley got involved. Heath Slater could have done the right thing and called for the bell, but Lashley intimidated him to just say, nope, you do not do that, and beats down Elias. Lio Rush pins Elias after that match is over. Yeah, that's really all I can say about that. They had a bit of an interesting promo with Nia Jax, and then this drew out Ronda Rousey, who just said, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm just ready here to fight. So she's out there. She basically clears the ring of Tamina and Nia Jax. Ember Moon would come out to even the odds. Ember Moon would then eventually go on to defeat Tamina in what was still a pretty good matchup between the two of them. Again, I'm hoping they do something more with Ember Moon. She deserves so much better. Then we had the main event, which was Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin in a tables, ladders, and chairs match for the Intercontinental Championship. Heath Slater, once again, was the referee. He's kind of like this back pocket deal for Baron Corbin right now to try and help him become, basically, just giving him that opportunity. But in the end, I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, right. So this was a really good matchup between Seth Rollins and Baron Corbin. And for Baron Corbin, who has not had a TLC match in his entire career, he's definitely knew how to utilize a lot of the weapons, a lot of the environment. That chokeslam backbreaker that he usually does, he used that basically to send Seth Rollins through a table. It was a really good moment. Utilizes the chair quite a bit. Heath Slater did play a factor into the near ending point where Seth Rollins was just about to get the title, but then Slater stopped him from that. Then Baron Corbin looked like he was going to win the title. Seth Rollins prevented that from happening, took out Heath Slater, and then retains the title. So he's got momentum building up with his match with Dean Ambrose this Sunday at TLC. Dean Ambrose just came out in his, as Demon Diva would say, grandma shag carpet coat. You could, jeez, I can't unsee that now. It's just one of those things where I look at that and I just think to myself, what the hell was he thinking? I don't understand this whatsoever. But, it's not the worst thing. It's just one of those things where it's like, what the hell was this guy thinking about? Where he did the Bane thing and then it was cool. Now he's doing this weird jacket deal. I don't understand it. The coloring is just weird. But anyway, that's just me. So, I will also state this, that Raw was pretty watchable this week, and it's going to be very interesting considering next week they announced on WWE, the WWE app, as well as WWE.com, that Mr. McMahon will be returning to Raw to shake things up on the current state of Raw. This is going to be interesting to see. Now, I think that there's some people that would love to see him maybe change it back to a 2-hour show. Maybe we see a certain somebody get fired. Honestly, I will say this. If that's a prelude to what's going to happen this Sunday, then I can definitely see this being a situation where they are spoiling the fact that Baron Corbin is going to be fired. But this could also be a situation where they just spoil it and make it seem like, okay, Baron Corbin's going to be victorious in this match, and it's going to be something completely different. But I'm really hoping it's the first one. I'm hoping that he's firing Baron Corbin because he just does not do well. God help me, I just don't want Baron Corbin on my screen anymore. Happy days, happy days. We're going to talk about Smackdown now. What a Smackdown this was. Holy cow. This was one of those shows that you look at and you think this is definitely feeling like a hyped up show for the big event. And it started off with the new Daniel Bryan. That is the thing that he is doing. He even has the announcer saying the new Daniel Bryan. I kind of like that. I also will say this, that I like what they're doing with Daniel Bryan, because here's the thing. He's doing this gimmick where he's talking about, saving the earth and how everybody is fickle and how everybody just is, not treating the environment as well as that they should and treating animals the way that they should. I like it because it's getting under people's skin. It's doing its job. It's making you hate Daniel Bryan for being such a total dick. He's doing his job, and it's awesome. It really is. So, I'm okay with this. I am 100% okay with him doing this. This drew out Mustafa Ali from 205 Live. As soon as I saw this match announced, I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be awesome. Daniel Bryan gave him the name, or he might have earned this name, from competing so much. He's the heart and soul, and he is the heart and the center of 205 Live, and basically its existence. He really is. It's a really cool thing that he got that props, but then he just, of course, tries to assault Mustafa Ali. This evolved into the matchup. I loved Mustafa Ali's promo where he basically said that, all the guys in 205 Live, we're basically underdogs, and we looked up to Daniel Bryan as the underdog, but what you've been doing lately, it's not at all settling well with everybody in 205 Live. He's basically trying to reach out to the old Daniel Bryan, quote unquote. But obviously it didn't work. Daniel Bryan is ready for a matchup. The match between Mustafa Ali and Daniel Bryan was really good. I liked it. It's one of those matches that makes you think, yes, they are making 205 Live. 205 Live is literally like the NXT of the main roster, in my opinion. And the reason why I say that is because you got all these guys that are slowly just getting better and better and better, and they're getting so much recognition by Triple H that Vince McMahon is now noticing, and it's like, okay, I kind of want to see what this guy does on a main roster field. And that's where we got, Lucha House Party, we got now Mustafa Ali on the main roster. And I will say also this, that one of the coolest things that came out of this was there's a picture of the 205 roster of so many people. There are people like, Gentleman Jack Gallagher, I think it was Tony Nese, Hideo Itami, Mike Kanellis, Rhea Kanellis. They're all sitting back there watching Mustafa Ali in his match with Daniel Bryan. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, this is a united roster. This is a united front. They're watching one of their guys go out there and put on a wrestling clinic with the WWE champion. And honestly, the way that they did this matchup, it was great. Mustafa Ali went for the 054 splash, but he missed. Daniel Bryan took advantage of that and locked in the heel hold to force Mustafa Ali to submit. And the new Daniel Bryan was victorious. He's got momentum going into the TLC rematch between the rematch between him and AJ Styles. So this is going to be interesting to see how this goes down. We had the second ever rap battle, and here's the thing. As soon as I found out that, it's going to be The Bar versus the Usos, one of my tweets that I said was, the Usos are in a rap battle, because that worked out so well last time. And it's not a sarcasm, it's just one of those things where it's like, man, we're going to hear like some kind of deal where they just drop every single sense of where they're going to just drop such a heavy bomb during this whole deal. And the New Day were I guess you could say the judges, where I think it was Wahale was the judge between New Day and Usos last year. Has it already been a year? Holy cow. That's crazy to think now. Honestly, this is where I get the intro of the Ice Shamey from The Bar. Honestly, they looked like they rummaged through Brodus Clay's wardrobe attire, and that's how they got got that idea, but I really kind of liked the ice shavy deal. It was very entertaining. It showed that Sheamus and Cesaro can indeed be entertaining, just like Big Show was entertaining and Kurt Angle was entertaining during those rap battles with John Cena. I would definitely look those up again, guys. That's just a side note. But the Usos definitely came back and they just burned the Bar. But the Bar had the last laugh where they just took down everybody. They got the momentum going into TLC. They got the momentum, in my opinion, going into TLC. It's going to be very interesting to see this triple threat match. Even though one of the podcasts I listened to said that it should be a tables, ladders, and chairs match, it honestly doesn't need it. I don't think it needs it. It doesn't need the TLC stipulation. Now, there are other matches that I think need the stipulation more than, say, Baron Corbin versus Braun Strowman. But do I think this triple threat match needs the TLC stipulation? No, I really don't. They probably could have used the ladder stipulation a bit more than the Elias Lashley match. Oh my gosh, that's a thing. I remember now. My God. So, then we had a segment with The Miz. The Miz, he was holding the Best of the World trophy, called out Shane McMahon to have a matchup. Him and Shane taking on the team of the, I think it was the Vegas Boys. The Vegas Boys, oh my gosh. Miz did not even get in this matchup at all. Shane was just working on this matchup the entire time. In the end, we saw Shane McMahon and who was it? Shane McMahon and The Miz take the victory. And then we had probably some of the funniest moments backstage. First, Miz is, talking, of course, about, the best 2/3, the trophy, blah, blah, blah. And he tries to make amends with Shane McMahon, and Shane is just kind of like, yeah, no, you're crazy. But one of the things that's actually kind of cool was that they did a deal where they showed The Miz's hand, and he's still kind of having his hand there for the handshake, and then it just clenches up into a fist. It's one of those situations where it's like, okay, we're going to see The Miz attack, Shane McMahon, or we're going to see him get into some kind of feud with Shane McMahon. Do I think it's going to happen at WrestleMania? No. I think that this feud is going to happen sooner rather than later. And maybe it'll be in time for Rumble. I think that would be a really good thing. But we also got a really funny segment where Paige basically was just barking and yelling at the referee, saying, "What gave you the authority to do this matchup? What gave you this deal to do this matchup? You don't do this match unless I said so." And he said, "Well, Miz said that you okayed this matchup." And she is, of course, just like, "Wait, what? I never okayed this matchup." Then the Vegas Boys came in, and they just were like, "Hey, we did our deed." And we were promised, I think it was like $5,000 each for their job. And Paige is just like, oh, $5,000 each. Okay, well, let me just take a look at that. She takes the papers, she rips them up, and then she just yells at everybody, just, get out of my office right now. Oh my God. It's one of those things where I just get a wrestling boner because holy crap. That was one of those moments where it's like, wow, Paige is a boss. That's hot. That's sexy. That is just really, really awesome. And then we transitioned into something that was, I don't know if I would say awesome, probably more just okay. We had the segment with Randy Orton talking about his chairs match with Rey Mysterio, basically talking about how Rey Mysterio, once a victim, always a victim, and he's going to defeat the ultimate underdog at TLC. And then we see Rey Mysterio come out, he attacks with the chair, hits a 619, definitely building up to a really good matchup between Mysterio and Orton at TLC. Now, Dave suggests the idea that it could be a pre-show matchup. If that's the case, I could see Randy Orton going over, or maybe even Mysterio goes over. We are probably going to see some crazy deals. I could see Randy Orton, doing the whole deal that Dave suggests. He suggests the idea of, doing countering the 619 into the draped DDT on chairs and then hits an RKO. I could see that. I could see Randy Orton just hitting an RKO out of nowhere. I think that's going to definitely happen. One thing that I will definitely not count out is Rey Mysterio. Maybe he kicks out of the RKO. Maybe he puts his foot on the bottom rope for that. Maybe does something where it's one of those things where it pisses off Randy Orton. I kind of would love to see, Mysterio hit a 619 while Orton gets bashed in the face with a chair, something like that. It might damage Mysterio, but I think it would hurt Orton a bit more. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see that. This is one of those matches that it might be really good. Chairs matches don't have a right to be as good as they are. I mean, you look at Baron Corbin versus Kalisto at TLC a few years ago. That did not have a right to be as good as it was, and it was awesome. We had a tag team matchup in which Jeff Hardy and Rusev took on Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura. Before the matchup even started, we had Carmella and R-Truth get do a dance break after all these entrances happened, and it distracted Jeff Hardy and Rusev. Samoa Joe and Nakamura took advantage of it. It was a good matchup. It was very fast-paced. In the end, we see Rusev getting a pinfall victory over Shinsuke Nakamura after a Magica kick. Man, it's really hard to say that now. So he's got a pinfall victory over Shinsuke Nakamura. Maybe this is going to build up to Nakamura versus Rusev, and maybe Rusev wins the title. I would love to see that personally, because I'm hoping they maybe move Nakamura to Raw. I think that he's just not a fit for SmackDown. I mean, if he goes to Raw, it's basically going to be a reset button for Nakamura. That's the way I see it. And he would definitely be a really good contender for the Universal title. I would love to see the rematch between Nakamura and Seth Rollins with that championship on the line. Oh, that just sounds beautiful. That brings more prestige to that title than it should. We had the main event, which was Charlotte Flair and Asuka in the WrestleMania rematch. Really good matchup. Not as good as the WrestleMania matchup, in my opinion, but you definitely could see that Asuka learned a lot from that matchup. We saw she got locked in the figure four, but she was able to overturn that. We saw Charlotte. I remember the. What was it again? I think Asuka countered the spear into an armbar. I'm trying to remember what it was. Asuka did this really good deal where maybe it was like a kick or something like that, or she was able to counter into the Asuka lock. I'm trying to remember. She did this awesome counter from the Charlotte spear. I'm trying to remember what it was. Damn it. Yeah, but there was a lot of really good stuff involved in there. The final sequence was the Charlotte doing a moonsault. She countered that. She waited for the figure four, but then got locked in the Asuka lock. She was able to get to the ropes. Then we saw Charlotte bring the kendo stick into play, attacks Asuka, calling for the bell. Becky Lynch would eventually get involved, and she would be the one who with the kendo stick just beating them. Then Asuka got the kendo stick. She just beats down on both Becky as well as Charlotte, basically showing that she's got the momentum, quote unquote, going into TLC in their triple threat TLC match. Again, really good show. It showcased a lot of what you could expect at TLC, and it definitely showcased a lot of what could happen at TLC. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Everything just looks absolutely wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup. It's going to steal the show. It should go on last. It really should. I don't care what anybody says. All right, so we then go into we're going into 205 Live. This is the first time I've seen 205 Live in quite a long time, and honestly, I really like it. I really like 205 Live. We kicked off with Buddy Murphy taking on Grand Metalik in what was a really good matchup that showcased not only Grand Metalik as one of the finalists. You have to remember, he was the runner-up in the Cruiserweight Classic. He put on a great matchup with Buddy Murphy, but Buddy Murphy would hit Murphy's Law to pick up the victory. We also had Cedric Alexander taking on Tony Nese in another really good matchup, but it was one lumbar check that would take him down. Then we got a brawl between Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy, building up their rematch for this Sunday. It's going to be a can't miss deal. But also one thing I really got out of this is that Hideo Itami is so damn entertaining in this deal. He really just has this deal. Oh my gosh, this is just so funny. So they highlighted a deal where Brian Kendrick was getting assaulted by gentleman Jack Gallagher, and Drew Gulak and Hideo Itami came up to the save. Then we see, him basically getting announced with Brian Kendrick that they're going to be in a street fight tag match next week against Gallagher and Gulak. And Hideo Itami just has this cheesy smile that it's like, what the hell is this? And then he also even goes up to Drake Maverick and he just says, like, you lost the tag team titles on Raw. You're fired. It's just one of those things where it's like, what is this randomness? This is funny. And then Drake Maverick, of course, he's just like, well, you can't fire me because I'm your boss. But he just reached a point where he's like, just forget it. And then we get a deal where he is talking to Mustafa Ali. No, not Mustafa Ali. Arya Daivari, that's right. Because Daivari came back and he's been doing like this really physical side of him where he's literally just beating down people like absolute crazy. I think the last match that they had was him beating down a local competitor, if I'm not mistaken. And then he talks about how people are just interacting over on social media. They're taking compliments from people and blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff. And then basically Hideo Itami comes in and he just says, I like you. That's really all that it is. I'm just literally like, so is Hideo a face? Is he a heel? Is he a tweener? What exactly is this? I don't know what's going on with Hideo Itami, but I'm honestly hoping that 2019, I want Hideo Itami as Cruiserweight Champion. I really want that now. It's just a thing that it just looks beautiful at this point. I really like it. Then we go into NXT, which had quite a few really good matches. We had a match between EC3 and Bobby Fish, in which basically EC3 was getting his retribution from Bobby Fish beating down EC3 and injuring him, costing him, I think it was maybe like a month or a few months of action, actually. And EC3 would get the victory over Bobby Fish. It was a very fast-paced matchup, pretty physical. I remember during the matchup, EC3 just said, say my name. And I'm just literally like, isn't that the Velveteen Dreams deal? What's going on here? But yeah, Bobby Fish would go for a pin, but EC3 would do a roll-up for the victory. Undisputed Era would beat down on EC3. And then out come Heavy Machinery, who basically beat down Undisputed Era. And I think it was Kyle O'Reilly got beat down by EC3 and Heavy Machinery. He got the 1%er. And then also got I think it's the Caterpillar from Otis, which, for the love of God, I have never seen a man his size just absolutely do a worm as well as Sky Tuhati. It is just amazing. And honestly, it's a really good move because he does the worm and then he drops it into an elbow drop. It's actually really good. It works for him. I will also say that it's one of those moves where I'm literally like, my eyes are just deceiving me. What is this? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this, goes down. I look forward to seeing. I think that they're definitely pushing a Heavy Machinery versus Undisputed Era feud. And they're also probably going to continue the EC3 feud with Undisputed Era. Honestly, maybe it's going to evolve into maybe it's going to evolve into an EC3 versus Adam Cole match at TakeOver, which I think would be kind of cool, actually. I would really love to see that. I'm hoping that's the ultimate payoff here. Or maybe even EC3 versus Roderick Strong. You never really know. Or it could just be evolved into a 6-man tag. Or they may just try to do an 8-man tag. They'll just have to find one other person to join them. I'm not sure who exactly they would, put into that, now that I think about it. I don't know. So, we also had a matchup between Mia Yim and Regina Gonzalez. Oh, man, I'm going to look up the name. I want to get the name absolutely right on this one. So, basically, it was a matchup in which we had the winner advancing to a fatal four-way match for an opportunity to face the women's champion, Shayna Baszler. Yep, it was Regina Gonzalez. Oh, sweet. I actually got that right. I am so happy right now. I'm going to do this right now, first time ever. I am following her on Twitter as we speak. So, mainly because she gave me a like on one of my tweets this past week. I love it. So, where was I again? Oh, so Regina Gonzalez and Mia Yim, they put on a pretty good matchup. I was very impressed with Regina. She did a fantastic job showing that physicality. But in the end, Mia Yim would hit the Eat Defeat to get her spot in the four-way matchup. So she joins Bianca Belair as well as Lacey Evans. So there is one spot left in the fatal four-way matchup to be filled, and that will be filled next week because the four-way matchup is in 2 weeks, I believe. I think it's happening around the New Year time. Yeah, that sounds right. They also announced that next week they would have the steel cage match between Johnny Gargano and Aleister Black. And I'm going to tell you this right now, there's a major spoiler for that, so I'm going to talk about this in the next 15 seconds. It's one of those things that definitely deserves to be talked about because it's got huge implications, actually. All right, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. If you want to skip ahead to a minute, go for it. So, during this matchup, we see Tommaso Ciampa get involved in this deal, and he has a face-off with Johnny Gargano. Johnny and Tommaso, they're kind of just looking at each other. Then Aleister Black is slowly getting up. He's slowly getting ready. And then we see the DIY deal where we see the super kick and the knee hitting Aleister Black. But then we have a situation in which they kind of, hit back-to-back. Johnny and Tommaso just kind of look at each other. Tommaso leaves the ring. And it's really, really just one of those things where it just goes in slow motion how it goes. So after that, Johnny Gargano would pin Aleister Black for the victory. Johnny Gargano wins the cage match. So this is going to be a very interesting development here. Maybe DIY is reuniting. At this point, I don't know. But I think this could build up to something bigger, possibly something at WrestleMania. I want Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa. Okay, that has been your spoiler. All right, so we go into the main event of the evening, and it is the matchup for the North American Championship. Ricochet, Prince Puma, whatever you want to call him. I will always call him Prince Puma because just, Lucha Underground, you've done me so good. He had a special challenge basically laid out for him. He's going to put his North American Championship on the line against someone of William Regal's choosing, essentially. And he promised this very special opponent for Ricochet. The lights go out, and all I'm thinking to myself, then I'm hearing the clip. I think it's like cameras clicking and stuff like that. All I heard was that I'm thinking to myself, "Oh my God, is it The Miz?" And then I hear, "Look, everyone, it's Tyler." No freaking way! It was Tyler Breeze, and not Fandango Tyler Breeze. Talking Tyler Breeze back in his NXT days. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. It was beautiful. I is so happy. That's what I have to describe this. It's just one of those moments where I just look at this and I'm just like, I is so happy. Tyler Breeze and King Ricochet, they put on a really good matchup with these two. Oh my gosh, I was just it gave me all the happies, everything in the world. I am so freaking happy. It was a really good matchup between the two of them. We saw a lot of fast-paced deals between Ricochet. We saw a lot of fast-paced deal with Tyler Breeze. It was legitimately one of the better matches of the week, and it definitely really helped Ricochet hold on to that championship that much more. Ricochet would hit a lot of people might not know this move, but he hit him with the Cradle Shock, which is a cross-legged Samoan driver. A lot of people call it the Michinoku driver. I know what I see. It was a cross-legged Samoan driver. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he hit that. He hit the Cradle Shock is what I usually call it because I remember Hail Saban, Chris Saban. Yeah, and with that, it was evident that Ricochet was the winner. He and Tyler Breeze shared a nice handshake, and Ricochet did a very honorable thing. He let Tyler Breeze in the ring. He let him just enjoy the moment, and everybody was just so happy. There were chants of, this match was awesome. Even a chant of, "This is gorgeous, this is gorgeous." It was awesome. It was really cool to see that the NXT crowd really still embrace Tyler Breeze as much as they did. I am just so happy to see that. And I'm hoping that maybe we get more of maybe we get more of Tyler Breeze in NXT. Who knows? Who knows at this point? All right. So after that, we had that was it for NXT. I stand corrected. So, yeah, again, it was a really good show. It was a really good show. I loved it. I didn't get a chance to watch NXT UK. I am going to try to have more of a fully developed show for next week where I will be watching everything wrestling from WWE product to Impact, NXT UK. I just need to get back into the groove of things. Oh gosh, I'm just realizing I think that next week I might not be able to watch it because if I remember correctly, I have to do another podcast recording because next week, you guys, will be the interview with Miss MJ from the Who Got Next podcast. She recently just got on, and it's going to be awesome just having her on. So be sure to tune in for that. It's going to be a can't-miss show, to say the least. All right, so I did post a deal on Twitter as well as on my Facebook of questions that people might want to ask me, and Mr. Fretz, one of the great supporters of podcasting as well as professional wrestling, he asked the question of basically trade one on Raw, trade one on SmackDown, who would you do? Honestly, it was kind of a no-brainer for me to do this. I literally just thought to myself, well, who would benefit from going to Raw? Who would benefit from going to SmackDown? For right now, I would say the easy one for me is to have AJ Styles and Finn Balor switched. It really makes the most sense. You could have Finn Balor go on SmackDown. Maybe he reunites with the Good Brothers. They bring back, Balor Club, which I think would be essentially awesome. I kind of would like to see that because we never really got a full deal with that. Maybe they develop their own version of Bullet Club in WWE. It's one of those things where it's like they have a lot of the trademarks, so why not utilize them? Why not do that? That's just my opinion. But AJ Styles going to Raw is another no-brainer for me because the fact is that AJ Styles has beaten everybody that there is to beat on SmackDown, so it's time for him to go into the next challenge, which is going to Raw, taking on guys like Dean Ambrose again, taking on guys like Seth Rollins, taking on guys. Maybe even they rekindle the feud with him and Bobby. Maybe they rekindle a feud with him and Bobby Roode. Oh gosh, I mean, there's so many possibilities that you could work with. AJ Styles versus Drew McIntyre. Oh my God, that'd be amazing. Styles and Dolph Ziggler. They had a really good matchup on SmackDown a few years ago. I would love to see them going at it again. And also with Finn Balor. You could get the rematch between Balor and Nakamura, Balor and Samoa Joe. Balor and Rusev would be another really good matchup I could see. And this could have ultimately evolved into maybe even Balor versus Daniel Bryan. Oh, God, I want that so bad now. Even Balor versus The Miz. That hits me in the happies again. I really want this now. I really, really want this now. Yeah, so that's, again, who I would have go to Raw and who I would have go to SmackDown. It is one of those situations where it is, like I said, it seems like a no-brainer who would go there, but at the same time, there are some other people that would say, like, no, this person would benefit from going Raw. No, this person would benefit. No, this person would benefit. This that deal. Yeah, I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. Who would you love to see go to Raw? Who would you love to see go to SmackDown? Let me know in the comment section below. And with that, I think this will conclude this episode of This Week of Wrestling. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those that listened in, thank you very much. For those of you that are first-time listeners, you can always follow me on Twitter at RealFNGame. You can also be sure to check us out on Spreaker.com as well as on YouTube and on iHeartRadio. A lot of really great things that we can definitely discuss about. Also, be sure to give us a like on our Facebook fan page. A lot of the things that you need will be in the description, you guys, here on the Spreaker.com as well as on YouTube and probably even on iHeartRadio. Again, I'm trying my hardest to get into a deal where I can get so many more platforms to listen to this, and so far it's really good. And also, I want to give a shout out to all the new followers that have been joining me here on Spreaker.com. 1 minute I saw 11, then I see 12, and I see 13. Just really cool to see that. I love the fact that, we're getting out there to more people. So, yeah, thank you so much, guys, for listening in. Thank you for all the support. Expect big things going into 2019. That is mainly what I could say about that without spoiling too much. So, that being said, I've been Nate the Effing Great. Thank you so much for listening in. This has been a week of wrestling, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow with a very special interview as well as possibly some more TLC predictions. Bye-bye!